We're talking today about Genesis chapter 1 and verse 1. And the reason we're doing that is because there are some words translated or mistranslated from the Hebrew text here that does require our attention and has caused a lot of consternation, giving people a lot of headaches. So, I'm going to read it from the Hebrew text and I'm going to hand over to Dr. Roy Blizzard to explain what it is that we are reading. Genesis 1 verse 1. Breshit bara Elohim et hashamayim va'et haaretz. V'haaretz haita tohu vavohu. And in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was without form and void. And it is that last little piece that has given us all the trouble. Dr. Blizzard, explain to us what we're reading here and how it's mistranslated.
And where it says, the haaretz haita tohu vavohu, is, and the earth was without form and void. Now there are quite a number today who are creationists, who come along and try to translate that passage, and the earth became without form and void. That there was once a pre-existent creation and God destroyed it and then began a whole process of recreation about 6,000 years ago, and they come up with this theory that is known today as the creationist theory, or the young earth, which is completely and totally against the Hebrew text and the way that it is presented for us here in Genesis chapter 1.
So that our audience becomes clear, this is also called the gap theory.
The gap theory, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Now, an interesting thing that occurred a number of years ago when I was doing some television for Trinity Broadcasting Network in California. I was the special guest one evening, and the president of the network had invited two other scholars who both were colleagues of mine to come and be on, all three of us at the same time. Me, Dr. Robert Lindsay, who at that time was the pastor of the Narcus Street congregation in Jerusalem, Israel, along with Professor William Sanford LaSore, who was a professor at Fuller Theological Seminary, and who himself had written a Hebrew textbook. And all three of us were Hebrew scholars, knowledgeable of the Hebrew language. But another interesting fact is that between the three of us, we had studied 40 different languages. The three of us had a knowledge of 40 different languages. And the one question that the president of the network asked was right here with this particular passage in Genesis chapter 1. He said that some had stated that the passage L'haita tohu vavohu, hayata tohu vavohu could be translated as became. And he asked the three of us, he said, now all of you three are Hebrew scholars, is that a possibility? Is it possible that this passage could be translated as became without form and void? And the answer of all three of us, just like that, without any discussion on the subject, was no. It was a linguistic impossibility. Because if that could be translated as became, it would have to be written in Hebrew, L'haita tohu vavohu. and it became without form and void, and it was not. It was simply the haaretz haita tohu vavohu v'choshka p'nei tehom. And so all three of us were in complete agreement that it could not be, it was an impossibility for it to be translated as became without form and void. So if you ever hear anyone make that statement or make that comment, you can know that that is an incorrect understanding of that passage in Genesis chapter 1 and 2.
So what are the implications of that word haita being translated became as opposed to was?
Well, if it could be translated as became, then that would open the door for different theories, such as the one espoused by the creationists, that the world was only created about 6,000 years ago, according to the chronology of one Bishop Ussher and others of his ilk and kin. The simple fact of the matter is that this particular passage refers to the very beginning of creation. And I might just say something here that I think fits in with us at this particular point. This book, Bereshit, is Genesis and commentary on the Hebrew text. And it says here something that's extremely interesting and important, that earth and the universe are interchangeable and may be discerned from such parallel phrases as Boro, Malay Olam, and his glory fills the universe, while the verse in Scripture reads, Malay Kol Haaretz Bikvodo, and the whole earth was filled with his glory. The simple fact of the matter is that when it says Bereshit bara Elohim et haaretz ve'et hashamayim, it's talking about God creating the totality of the universe. Whatever it was then, whatever was now, and whatever it was going to be in the future. The totality of the universe. And it's not talking about, and the earth became without form and void, which is a complete mistranslation and misunderstanding of not only the Hebrew text, but of the intent and purpose of this passage in Hebrew.
So the word haita is actually a word in the perfect tense, which is a completed tense. It is what it is. It was completed, was created, and that's how it is.
That's how it is.
Well, thank you, Dr. Blizzard. If you are enjoying this broadcast, please remember, hit the share button and help us to share this with as many people as possible.